The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
You're listening to the Sports Scramble Podcast, where four friends serve up a weekly plate of sports with a side of SEC bias. Now, here are your hosts, Chet, Jacob, Wade, and Tyler.
Let's go!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the year 2023 of the Sports Scramble Podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Sports. I'm your host, Chet, and as you saw when they played the intro, if you're watching on YouTube, I had the names lined up perfectly with how they said it in the intro. So
nice.
I've been practicing and only took 38 shows to get it down, but I've got it now. So we started off 2023 with a bang. How are y'all doing?
Doing pretty good. How are y'all?
Happy New Year,
Yep.
2023.
Happy New Year.
We've been doing this for 6 months now, but 2 calendar years. So,
yeah, last time I talked to y'all was a whole year ago. Isn't that crazy?
I know it's been a year since we did a show.
Yeah, I can't believe people are still listening to us.
Be quiet.
Yeah, this is the only time you can make those jokes. I was in the Uber last night heading home from dinner, and we passed by a Whataburger, and there was a line like wrapped around the building, and the Uber driver goes, "Man, those people aren't going to get their food till next year." And I just busted out.
Better give them a tip.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to. So, but y'all have a good New Year. Shoot off any fireworks. Futch, you look like a firework guy.
No, I had to call the cops.
You had to call the cops last night.
Yeah, I had some kids shooting some fireworks at people's houses and vehicles, so chasing each other with Roman candles in people's yards. So yeah, I was just trying to go to. Lauren and I were just trying to go to dinner last night, and
tell me you graduated college a week ago and all grown up.
Yeah. Calling the cops on New Year's.
Yep, it was a bit chaotic. Just trying to make an 8:45 reservation, and I'm yelling at a bunch of kids out in front of the house.
Get off my lawn
at 8:30. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, really. Were they
I just didn't
shooting
want to
at
come
your
back
car?
to it. I just didn't want to come back to a house that wasn't standing. So.
Yeah, I mean, my week was busy. I moved. Now I'm out here in small town Texas, and had some friends over. We were celebrating New Year's, and the neighbor across the street shooting off fireworks in the street. Well, my buddy goes, "Hey, my car is right there." He gets out there, he's got like some ash marks on his car from the fireworks going off. I was like, you might want to move your car before he reloads with like the ultimate cannon or something that's going off. So, Tyler, did you shoot any fireworks off in your neighborhood?
No, but there actually was a lot of fireworks going off, so I decided to just check it out, just go get a seat out there. I usually do shoot off fireworks every year, but I just figured with the college football playoff going on, I was just going to sit home and, not leave my recliner for 8 hours and just watch those 2 games. So I didn't pop off any fireworks.
Yeah, those definitely a good way to spend New Year's Eve and end 2022 off with a bang. We'll get to those a little later in the show, but what I want to get into is our favorite sports moments of 2022. And we asked this on Twitter, so we got a few responses. I'm going to read some. My favorite one that I got was from Jason. Says his 8-year-old son scored his first goal in a tournament game. So congratulations to the little 8-year-old man. You keep going. You're going to be like the next tweet that we got of Messi kissing the World Cup trophy. So a lot of people love that. Teresa loves all of Jimmy G games. He was in a role and his men behind him. Let's go, Brock. Show them we are the best. I think I know her pick to win the Super Bowl. Let's see. We had someone just loved the Chargers. Just their whole season was his favorite memory of the year. We got some Albert Pujols hitting home run number 700.
Was it a conspiracy?
I don't know, Wade. Was it a conspiracy?
He overachieved.
Bring that back from 2022.
He
Overachiever.
proved me wrong.
Yeah. And the last one I'll read. Derwin James body slamming Travis Kelce into the ground. Somebody.
What about Derwin James ripping someone's head off and leaving it in 2022? Last week.
I lost you there for a second. What was that, Wade?
Oh, I said, what about Derwin James leaving that poor receiver's head in 2022, like a week ago, when he just
knocked
absolutely
him out.
annihilated the Colts guy?
What's his name today? DJ Moore got absolutely murdered at the 50 line. So I was watching them trying to mount a comeback, and they just he 45-yard pass. I was like, he gets away from this guy, they score, they win the game, and he just got absolutely like his head taken off. So, but wait, favorite sports moment of 2022? What do you got?
Probably cliche, but LSU beating Alabama and then Ole Miss just 2 weeks prior. That was a fun little stretch there, getting to go on the field twice for some LSU fans. So that was a good moment for sure. But I'm probably missing something more obvious. But not quite as good as the 2021 moment, which was the Braves winning the World Series. But it was a good year of sports overall.
There you go. Jacob, what do you got? What was your favorite moment in sports in 2022? All time, all year.
Well, my favorite sports moment that happened all year happened the last minute of 2022. At 11:59 p.m.
Timed perfectly.
Really got it in there.
Timed perfectly. Got it in there. Ohio State's lovely kicker decided to shank a 50-yard field goal, and that was probably the best moment all year, to be honest with you.
Dude, that looked like me whipping out the 56 degree, like 10 feet from the green, airmailing it to the left.
So 4 left over there. I'm like, geez. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I thought it was tipped, and then I've watched it about 100 times. Nobody tips it. I don't
He
know
just
if he
overkicked
just, like,
it.
yeah.
Georgia
I think he just
got
overthought
in the
it.
backfield pretty quick. I mean, he had to rush it, but I think the pressure just got to him.
Yeah, poor guy.
I think the thing
poor
about
guy.
it was like the kicker himself was chill about the fact that he missed it. Like he wasn't breaking down right there. It was the placeholder. The man was like in the ground, just like devastated. And that's when I thought, I was like, well, maybe it was a bad hold.
Yeah, I thought
But
he messed up at first.
Yeah, I'm thinking like after I watched it, I'm thinking it really wasn't that bad of a hold. I'm thinking the kicker just shanked it. I was like, this plain and simple.
Yeah. He's got something. He had money on Georgia to win it. So, he probably just made a couple grand. He put his life savings on it. He's like, it all is going to come down to me. Tyler, I saw you replied to the tweet. Was your favorite moment was the LSU upset? You got a second one since Wade took yours?
No, it's 1 through 10.
Double up.
1 through 10.
We can double up. I mean, I'm a lifelong LSU fan. I'm going to remember that game for as long as I can, probably till next season at least. I mean, it's just the way that LSU won that game with the 2-point conversion. Never forget that day.
Yeah, no, that one was close for me. But since I knew that one of y'all would have it, I had to go into the golf world with Scotty 3-putting on 18 to win the Masters. That was my favorite moment because it was just one of those.
The only sports bet he won all year.
Exactly, it's the only one. So that should show that I shouldn't bet on sports.
Can we do the worst one too?
I don't have one queued up. But what's your?
I do.
What's your
Kentucky ruining my bracket again?
Oh, in March Madness.
That was a while back.
Can't wait to do it again in 2 months.
I guess my worst one would be not starting TJ Hawkinson last week in fantasy football. That's mine. Or just my whole fantasy football season.
Tyler, it could be you and I's $1,000 bet that Miami decided to beat Iowa State by 1 million.
We should have just left that game out the door. We got too greedy picking the Colognes. Yeah.
It's always that extra parlay, that extra leg to the parlay that knocks it out.
Yep.
Wait, what do you got for worst moment?
I'll keep it in the betting world. Probably having the best odds in the world on Tennessee baseball to win it all.
Oh my gosh.
And starting in January when I placed the bet, and they were number 1 every single week of the season until they choked in the final, like Omaha round or whatever. And did they even get to Omaha? I don't even remember.
No, Notre Dame knocked them out in the Super.
Yeah, so they didn't even make it to Omaha. And I had like 3,500 to 1 odds on that. And
here's an idea, guys. Here's an idea for 2023. With college basketball, at least in one of the regions, you either need to pick a 15 or a 16 seed to make it to the Elite 8, because it happens every single year. So
we'll pick our team and we'll ride with them.
That's where
All right, we need to start watching some film on these small schools then.
Yeah, start picking them out.
Start taking down some notes.
Yeah,
because I cannot do this again.
If St. Peter's is in the tournament, I am totally picking them to make it to the.
But their team all transferred, and then one of their guys,
old Doug, almost knocked somebody out in one game.
Fighting an 8-foot tall dude.
Yeah, that is one of my New Year's resolutions. Is hopefully that my national champion will at least survive like one day of the tournament. That way, I can actually enjoy it and not, pull my hair out the first day.
I'm going to be on a cruise ship for the second round, so I'll get to see my first round picks, and then from there, it doesn't matter.
Watch, Wade's going to put a bet down. And it's going to win the whole thing and come back from the cruise.
It's going to come back a millionaire and be like, wow.
I guess they will have a sports bar in there. I'll be able to see a little bit, but it'll be stress-free.
That'll be the least of your worries during that time.
That's right.
Wade gets back to the mainland and sees how much money you won, and he's like, oh my gosh.
Get back on the boat, baby.
Get back on the boat.
I'm going to claim it in open water. So
7 more days.
There you go. Now you're beating the system. Now you're beating the system.
Now.
Yeah. I got a question for y'all. We had, bowl season's been great this year, especially the college football playoffs. We had the Duke's Mayo Bowl with Maryland and NC State. I didn't realize too his younger brother wasn't the quarterback for Maryland anymore. I thought he was still out there, but it's somebody else. Maryland gets the win.
Out there.
Was he?
Yeah.
I only watched
because the guy they started ended up getting hurt. Talia wasn't supposed to play.
Yeah.
Oh, was he sitting the game out?
No, he's the backup.
Oh, he
was the backup for the game. He was the starter all season long, but he was coming off an injury.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
He's the new Jimmy Garoppolo.
I was watching like a little bit of it at the beginning, and I was like, "Where's Talia?" But Maryland gets the dub, and then afterwards they pour the mayo on their coach's head. And the broadcaster was suspended indefinitely, according to this. Oh, jeez. The comments he made. Suspended indefinitely for comments during Duke's Mayo Bowl. He made a comment about all the illegal aliens down in El Paso while checking in on the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. Oh my gosh.
The announcer?
On live TV. Yes, the announcer.
Oh my.
Oh, he said in the Sun Bowl and amongst all the illegal aliens down in El Paso, it's UCLA 14 and Pittsburgh 6.
Oh my
God. He wants to leave that one in 2022.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. It's NC State's broadcaster, like their radio broadcaster. Huh.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, they suspended. Yeah.
I was thinking it was like RG3 because he said something pretty insensitive the other day.
RG3 just lets it fly. Speaking of RG3, his wife went into labor last night during the playoff game, and he just like bolted off the field. It was great. They had the camera.
That's the fastest. That is the fastest I've ever seen that man run, even during his playing.
I know.
The irony is he caught a Southwest flight back to Dallas or wherever his wife was having the kid, and he's like the only person in the world that caught a Southwest flight this week. Everyone else has been screwed over by them.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that Southwest sale. I'm sorry, all the flights got canceled. Here's a round trip for $20 to wherever you want to go. So I'm waiting for that to come out.
Not banking on that.
But so what I was getting at with the Mayo Bowl, of course, the winner gets the mayo dumped on them. It really should be the losing coach. Last year was South Carolina's Wade. His name escapes me. You know it.
Shane Beamer.
Shane Beamer did the mayo. How much would it take, or what would have to be given to you to get mayo like that dumped on your head? Because I hate mayonnaise. I don't eat it on a sandwich. I'll eat it like on a hamburger if it's on there already, but I'm not a mayo fan. So
I actually came around on mayo in 2022. I used to not have it on BLTs or any sandwiches, but this year I just gave up on it.
So you'll get the bucket of mayo dumped on your head for free, is what I'm hearing.
We'll do it for a BLT.
Yeah, at your wedding, I'll give you a BLT, and then I'll dump some mayo on you.
Maybe the bachelor trip, you can mayo me.
There we go. But what would it take for you to get a 5-gallon bucket of mayo poured on your head?
Well, for a 5-gallon to get poured on my head, I'd probably do it for $100, but
That's it?
Yeah, just $100.
Fudge,
I
would
don't
you
care.
jump in a bush of roses tomorrow on live stream if Penn State wins the Rose Bowl?
No, I will not do that.
Would you
I will not
eat a
bleed out for
rose?
Penn State. I'm sorry.
Would you eat a rose if they win the Rose Bowl tomorrow?
No, I would not do that either, Joe.
Okay.
I will not eat green eggs and ham.
Yeah, this is turning into green eggs and ham. But I think my problem with it was Mike Loxley, he put this giant hat on. And I'm thinking, dude, you are bald. Just embrace it. Just let him pour the mayo all over your bald, shiny head. You know, that's
the worst part is getting it out of your hair. But if he's got no hair,
ain't got no hair.
Yeah, he got no hair.
Make it easier. Tyler, how much would you have to be given, or what would you have to be given to get mayo dumped on you?
5,000. I hate mayo.
$5,000.
$5,000.
So we got a BLT sandwich. We got $100, and we got $5,000.
Might as well set my price high for it, and just a bucket of mayo.
Tyler said, down payment.
Yeah, down payment on
down payment on that mayo.
Oh, wait, I want you to mark this timestamp at 18 minutes. Duke's Mayo Bowl. If y'all are listening, I will get a truckload of mayo dumped on me for some Sports Scramble media passes next year. Let us cover the bowl game. Give us full access to the teams. I will stand under a truck full of mayo.
We already had that opportunity, though.
What you mean?
Tyler will eat a hot dog dipped in mayonnaise every 15 seconds during the game.
For every score, Tyler will drink a cup of mayo.
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
What?
If
for media passes, I'll do that, honestly.
That's awful. No,
I'm not just talking like passes like we had to the South Alabama game, which we were thankful for, or that Futch covered. I'm talking like fully access to the teams. Like we're doing interviews with ESPN.
Okay, that's gonna take a whole.
I want
for a dump truck of mayo to be dumped on me. That's what
you might get lucky enough to get on the field.
Okay,
I'd rather eat a rose with thorns and all. I rather just eat the rose.
Okay, I'll step it back then. Duke's Mayo Bowl. If you're listening, I'll do the mayo dump for field passes to the game next year. Okay, so go ahead and clip that one. We'll send it to him.
Hopefully, you can get your Southwest flight there.
Yeah, really.
Watch, it'll be like Robert Morris versus Austin Peay or something.
Hey, doesn't matter. It's field passes to a bowl game. So, speaking of some other bowl games, first we got to give a shout out to our sponsors over at YETI. I don't know if they're still doing this promo, but we're gonna run with it. I think they still are with the New Year's season. You spend $200 anywhere site-wide, which is basically buying a cooler, you'll get a free 14-ounce cup. And those suckers will keep your drinks cold forever. During my move, I had a YETI ice chest full. We had to move the fridge. So I put everything in the freezer, moved, got here the next day, still frozen. So like Futch says, they float around the Pacific Ocean and they wash up on land, not a problem. So head on over to YETI, use our link, help us out, and get you a new cooler to start off 2023 right. All right. College football playoff. Yesterday might have been the best playoff games we've ever seen, with TCU beating Michigan by a score and then Ohio State choking away. They were up by like 12, 15 points in the fourth quarter, 14 maybe. They were the first. Georgia was the first team to ever come back down 14 in the. It was a weird stat. It only happened like 19 times. And they were 1-19 or something. Georgia was the first team to ever come back down 14 to win a bowl game, I think is what the stat was. But Tyler, what did you see on the field? You think TCU gets it done against Georgia, or do the Dogs just roll
on? Well, going to the games, I mean, I agree with you. This was definitely the best college football playoff semifinals game. I mean, combine the games, and those are 7-point differences. I mean, the past couple of years, like I mentioned on the previous shows, like usually we've had one blowout and then one close game. So it was definitely satisfying, especially with all the playoff expansion happening in the next upcoming years in 2024, that the top 4 teams, I think they got it right. TCU and Michigan. TCU was not afraid in this one. They were not scared. They put up, they got out to a big lead. Michigan, it was really two different it was two different games, but it was two different outcomes. I mean, both teams got out to a hot start. Ohio State and TCU got out to a hot start. Michigan and Georgia, you just knew that they weren't going to go down without a fight. I mean, TCU, though, they really controlled the majority of that game. I mean, J.J. McCarthy did his best in that game. I mean, TCU's defense, you got to give credit to them. I mean, Donovan Edwards, had that big run. But after that, how many big runs did he have after that? Not much. So you got to give it to TCU's defense. I think that they're going to match up very well against Georgia. They just got to lock down on the tight ends because I think Ohio State's defense, we didn't see Brock Bowers really make a big play until that fourth quarter drive to really get them up. And then he's got to feel it for their kicker and Noah Ruggles. I think that the pressure got to him. He was just trying to overkick it. It was a long field goal. You would have liked them to get it closer, but they just couldn't really get the clock. And like he's saying, like the clock management by Jim Harbaugh. I mean, what was he thinking of? Like, why?
I was screaming at the TV, screaming at it.
It was 2 minutes really shaved off of the clock on offense and 3 minutes on the offensive side because you're dilly-dallying. You're looking over the sideline pretty much like, what do we call him, coach? What do we call him, coach? But you got to give credit to TCU. I mean, they've been a team of destiny, and you just got to root for them. So I'll hold off to make my pick, but, when we get to the national championship, talk in a couple of minutes. But I'll let the other guys get the floor.
It cracked me up because I think it was Jim Harbaugh's dad in the stands.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing, son?
Call a timeout. He's screaming at his son. Everybody's screaming, call a timeout. And he's just like, let's see what they do here. Let's see can they score? Can they do it? Can they score? And I was just like, dude, you've got 3 timeouts. You can't take them to 2023.
He did have 59 minutes left, but you just can't, he bobbled the snap once again. I mean, that's just been the Michigan problem. You go back, and Sean McDonough was the announcer too, if you remember the Michigan State game where he had that legendary call. And now this call, I mean, it was just an insane game. Like, these were 2 insane games. I mean, we had the 3 overtime game of Kansas and Arkansas that I thought were going to be the game of the year at the Bowls, but these 2 were the bowl games of the year. So there's still more to go. So I'm excited for it.
Don't worry, Neil. We weren't going to skip over it. I saw his comment. We were just hitting the college football playoff games first. That Arkansas-Kansas game, real quick. You're down. It's triple overtime. Arkansas converts their 2-point. All you got to do is get in the end zone from the 2-yard line, and you run a double reverse pass with the running back or the wide receiver. Like, what are you? Or was he the backup quarterback that they brought in?
Yeah, it was the guy who filled in for Jalen Daniels when he
Mr. Bean
got hurt. Bean.
Yeah.
He had the tight end wide open.
He overthrew him by like 10 yards.
Like, that guy was double covered. He had the guy underneath was wide open.
Yeah. So
I thought that game was over when I looked. It was 31-7. I was like, okay, this is going to be Arkansas blowout. And then Jalen Daniels, we had some preseason hype on him over there at Coast to Coast. He had 5 touchdowns. I mean, like you mentioned, they had that targeting penalty that really kept Kansas in another overtime, and then the 2-point conversion. KJ Jefferson ran it in for a 2-yard touchdown, and then Kansas, Mr. Bean, like I call him, didn't get in. So yeah, that was a great game in the Liberty Bowl as well.
I also don't understand why, with the game on the line, you're doing a reverse to your backup quarterback. You're on the 2-yard line.
You could talk about the reverse play call in that TCU Michigan game on that first drive too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. That was just wild. I mean, just run it in.
Run it down their throats. That's how you've been beating most of these Big Ten teams.
Yeah.
I mean, the Big Ten, they got exposed. I mean, Ohio State played better than Michigan did.
Yeah.
But guys, understand this. Coming from the Kansas side of things, I mean, think about Kansas all season long. I mean, they really just went for it. I mean, if they had an opportunity and it was the end of the game, they were not settling to go to overtime for much of anything.
That's true.
The only reason the game went to overtime was because of Arkansas. And I think that, if it was the other way around and Kansas was in that situation, Kansas, I think, goes for 2 just to win the game. It's one of those things where Kansas is like, what do we have to lose at this point?
It's a bowl game,
Yeah, it's a bowl game. You don't have a game after. Yeah, just go for the win.
Who cares? Just make it eventful and see if you can get a win. And if you don't, whatever. I mean, it's different than the regular season because, at the regular season, you're playing for a chance to win a national championship or Big 10 or, Big 12 championship. And it's just, I mean, at that point, there's no point in settling for 3 overtimes unless you just want the fans to sit there and warm a chair for longer. But I think Kansas handled it well. I think the best game of them all was Notre Dame and South Carolina. I really
that's what I was
enjoyed
going to
that
get
game.
to next.
Yeah, that was a fantastic football game. Back and forth, offense, defense, both played well. Just really came down to one last drive, and Notre Dame executed on defense, I think.
That was that kind of raised a question that I asked Wade and Tyler on. If your defense gets a pick six, do you think it should be treated like a safety where they get the ball back, like the team that intercepts it gets the ball back? Because the reason I say it is because they pick off Notre Dame, run it back, tie ball game, great. Well, now Notre Dame gets the ball, and basically there was only like a minute left, and they could have drove down the field and scored and been done. South Carolina has no shot. So I don't know. I was thinking it'd just be like an interesting way that because the defense scores on a safety, their team gets the ball back. It's like a reward for them. So just a thought. That might be something interesting to see them play around.
There'd be pros and cons to that situation.
Yeah,
but that would never happen. I don't think that rule would ever be in place.
Yeah, I don't think they're changing the rules of football anytime soon, based on what we say.
Yeah, it's just my thing. It's just my thing where it's like, I get if the rules of the safety right now. If you were to change that for a pick six, I think it's kind of weird because, you would change the pick six to a pick two basically, and then you're giving the ball back. It just seems like a situation where it's almost like a win-win for the team, and you're giving that team a chance to basically have two scoring opportunities back to back. It's different from a safety because I think, it's so difficult to see guys get backed up into their own, end zone. In that case, if you can't get out of your end zone, a pick six, pick six can just happen off of a tip pass. That's what we saw in a lot of these games where tip passes that just got taken back. That's the thing about it. I don't think he can penalize because sometimes it just isn't the quarterback's fault in that situation. You can't really.
Yeah, I guess if they keep possession, you'd have to change it to like 2 points.
I would be more in favor of upping a safety to a 6-point play. If the goal is to get it in the other end zone and not to allow points in your end zone, why should a safety where you're getting literally tackled in your own end zone or fumbling it out your own end zone only be worth 2 points?
Because of this, I think it's because of this. Let's say you punt the ball down there and they pin you deep. Are you really going to give the team 6 points because their punter pinned you at the 2-yard line and you can't get it out? That's one of those situations where you give the team 6 points because the punter basically had the kick of his
punters would be more relevant.
Hey, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers punter today won them the game. I
He sure did.
We'll get to that when we get to our dog of the week.
No, but you can't leave from that game. You got to talk. Well, the South Carolina and Notre Dame game.
Yeah,
because,
let's get back to that one.
Because
we're going from like the college football playoff to like 7 different games.
Speaking of punters,
it's a scramble, man. It's just all of them. Just throw them all together.
The scramble.
I think speaking of punters, heck, the best play of the game was South Carolina's punter throwing a pass to the long snapper.
That was awesome.
That was unbelievable.
Bowl games, baby.
Yeah,
I love bowl games for their trick plays. It's like they all
it's
bring
just
them
like
out.
You have nothing to lose. Might as well go for it.
And Notre Dame had a more realistic fake. I've never seen a fake punt to the long snapper before on a 40-yard touchdown pass. So that's like, I don't know if I would call that one in the regular season. But Notre Dame, they had one where they just hiked it to the up back, and it was a pretty efficient play. I don't know, maybe defensive coordinators and maybe the guys on special teams are paying attention more than I am as a fan, but I just think there's so many opportunities where you could slip a fast one by someone if you just weren't thinking about it during the regular season.
Well, and the part that made it so confusing was that South Carolina was actually pretty deep into Notre Dame's territory when they chose to punt, like with the fake punt. And I'm thinking, wouldn't that just raise red flags to you in the first place if you're Notre Dame? Knowing that they're that deep and they're running a punt formation just seemed kind of weird. From
I
Notre
thought
Dame's
it was the kicker at first.
I would have said, because I thought they
goal.
were kicking a field goal, and it was like a 40-yard field goal, and I'm thinking, why is the punt team out there? And then that happened, and I was like, if you're Notre Dame, how are you not in the booth, screaming down at your coordinators on the sideline, basically tell them it's a fake. I mean, because
right.
no team has virtually ever done that in that situation.
Speaking of fakes, we had in the Texas Tech and Ole Miss game, the Texas Tech quarterback lined up under center, and then they snapped it between his legs to the other quarterback, and he ran it into the end zone for a touchdown. So I love seeing
also had a 44-yard onside kick recovery for a touchdown to finish off the scoring in that game.
I was rooting for the SEC to win a lot of the games, just being SEC fan, but I never root for Ole Miss.
But what a fall from grace for Ole Miss on the season. You start 7-0, and then you lose what? They lost 6 games on the year. They were like 8 and I don't know their record, but it was just a collapse.
They lost 4 of their last 5. I just can't see that. That was unbelievable.
Well, you look at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl with Kansas and Arkansas. Both of them were 6-0 at one point, ranked in the top 10. Yep. And they both finished 6-6.
It's the year of collapse.
Yeah, so
Syracuse
they just
as well.
Syracuse, yep.
I mean, Syracuse got beat by Minnesota in the Bad Boy Mowers Bowl. I like that name. Oklahoma just didn't show up this year. They get beat by Florida State. What's his name? Florida State's quarterback is going to be a problem next year.
Jordan Travis.
Yeah. I mean, I know Caleb Williams is coming back, but you got to, and Drake May too, but you got to think he has helped his NFL draft stock, and then also has entered the Heisman conversation.
I'm saying it right now
for Heisman. Yeah.
If we were just talking about our season preview for next season, Florida State's my pick to win the ACC next year. They're going to be loaded.
I'm a little worried about LSU going to Orlando.
They're a lot better than they were this year.
That's going to be a crucial game for both teams. If whoever wins that game is going to be set up for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I think Clemson is
missed extra point.
I think Clemson's also in trouble. There's something wrong there currently, and I don't know if it's going to take them an off season to figure it out. But something's going on there that they need to figure out internally, because I mean they haven't looked right all season. I mean there's a difference between them, making it to the college football playoff like they have and what they've done in the last 2 seasons. I get that they made it to a New Year's Six bowl only because they barely squeaked out a couple of wins against some teams that they normally would steamroll. And you could say those teams have gotten better, but at the same time, you can also see that Clemson struggles to move the football. I mean, 14 points against Tennessee after Tennessee let up the freaking kitchen sink to South Carolina. I just don't see. Yeah. I don't see the comparison there, and they just look like they look like a different team every time they come on the field. And I don't think Cade Klubnik is ready for that job. I just don't think they're ready. And if he's their guy, like Dabo says he is, they got a lot to work on.
They just don't have the receivers anymore. Like they have to rely on a guy called Will Shipley in the backfield, and he can't do it all for them.
Yeah, I thought Clemson was going to come out and right the ship under Cade. And he couldn't. I thought they were going to have DJU transfer out, Cade Klubnik come in and absolutely just dominate, and Clemson would be right back on their merry way, but did not go that way at all.
You know what they seem like? I'll tell you exactly who they look like. And it was always a team that fell short just a little bit. And I think they had a good quarterback in college at the time, dominant running back. And Stanford, you had Andrew Luck and Christian McCaffrey, and they were arguably one of the best teams in the nation, and they could never finish. That was one of the things where it was like they had the pieces in the backfield in order to win football games within the conference, but as soon as we went to big games and bowl games and championship games, they couldn't finish. It was one of those things where, and I think that's what's going on with Clemson right now. And there's a lot of teams in the ACC that are going to give them a run for their money. Heck, Pickett's a big bowl win against UCLA that I don't think anybody saw coming. But
Duke getting a win over UCF.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, they blew the doors off of them. And there's just a lot of good teams coming up. I think Miami still has a lot of hurdles that they need to overcome in order to get back in contention, because I mean a lot of people picked them to come back, and they never even were in the building.
They got a good recruiting class, so with NIL you can turn it around.
They got enough NIL money; they'll get it done. We only have 4 more bowl games left before the championship next week. We got the ReliaQuest Bowl, Mississippi State, Illinois. This feels like a Mississippi State just cap off. Rest in peace, Mike Leach. They're playing in Buccaneer Stadium. He was known as the Pirate. I don't think Illinois stands a chance.
Here's the issue with that game. If you want to break down that game really quickly, Mississippi State has to stop the run. If they don't stop the run, they're in trouble. Secondly, Mississippi State has to establish the run on offense, because if they don't and they end up just throwing the football with Will Rogers, he's going to throw 4 picks in that game, because Illinois arguably has one of the top 5 secondaries in all of college football that's very underrated. They've got a lot of seniors back there that really know what they're doing. I mean, they forced J.J. McCarthy into multiple interceptions when they played in Ann Arbor. They're just really difficult to play against. They're a scrappy team, and they're like Iowa a little bit, and I think that it'll be a close game. It'll be low scoring. I just don't think Mississippi State's going to be able to establish any sort of 35, 40-point game in that.
Yeah, well, and they're going to be airing the ball out just as a tribute to Mike Leach for the air raid. I don't expect many rushing yards. We'll see. It is a new coach, interim coach there.
Pick the under in that game.
We've got LSU and Purdue. We've got Louisiana's boy Drew Brees serving as the interim QB coach. It just feels like, I don't know, what's the word? I'm like a backstabbing as an LSU fan. Love
Drew Brees doesn't owe the state anything.
I know, but it's like I don't want to root against him.
We can get over ourselves.
But
he's only there for recruiting.
I would be more concerned if he was putting on a helmet and playing for Purdue.
Yeah.
Well, they need him to, because they don't have their quarterback over the
Yeah, their quarterback's not even playing.
Yeah, we got on the other side Mr. Kayshawn Boutte reversing his comeback to LSU. He's declaring for the draft. I figured that when they announced he wasn't going to be playing in this bowl game, something was going on, and I'm starting to think it was maybe something, an issue on the team. Maybe he broke a team rule and they just didn't want to say anything, and they released him focusing on his senior season, which was, in my eyes, if you're on the team, if you're coming back for your senior year, you better play in the bowl game. Sitting out of the bowl game to just not get hurt and then play the next year is stupid. If you're on the team, you should suit up and play. But then he says, I'm going to the NFL. So, I mean, let's be real. He never really did anything outside of his freshman year. He was great his freshman year, but our team sucked. And he started 2021 off on a good note, then got hurt. He was one of those guys that was a generational talent that we never really saw come to fruition. He was like the following of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, that just nothing happened. So I don't think we're missing much. I mean, Tyler, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just a guy that I can't figure out what's going on really in his head. Like you mentioned, he has the talent. He had a really good freshman season, and then the second season, sophomore season, was really cut short because he got hurt during that Kentucky game. We really didn't see much of him. And this season, he's getting all the hype. He's on the preseason All-American list. He's going to be the guy for LSU, and then he ends up really buried in the depth chart. Like, his first touchdown didn't come until that Tennessee game. So what I've been hearing is that he is a second-day guy, either a second-round or a third-round draft pick. So honestly, if he's that, this is definitely a wrong decision. I think if he had one more great year of tape, because I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions asked. I mean, especially with this decision making. I mean, NFL teams are going to ask him like, why did you reverse your course? And he's going to have to face a lot of scouts. So, well, I'm going to be interested. We'll definitely never know why and the reason. Yep. Is it, grades? Is it just something going on? Because he was a recent father this year, but who knows? He's going to go make his money. But I think LSU, even without him, I think they're fine. I know that they lost him. They lost Jack Best to TCU, but their guy this year was Malik Neighbors. Mm-hmm. You saw Mason Taylor step up at the tight end spot. You have Sheldon Sampson, a 5-star recruit, coming in. You have Brian Thomas coming back, Kyron Lacey. I mean, this wide receiver crew is going to be loaded.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that number 8, Malik Neighbors, comes back next year and gets drafted comparatively higher than where
he could be a first round draft pick depending on what he does this upcoming season.
But I think it was the right call for Kayshon Boutte. I mean, given the personal circumstances, he never really jived with Brian Kelly and Jaden Daniels for whatever reason. So I'd rather him go get his money than
and no LSU fans. Jaden Daniels was not the sole reason that Kayshon Boutte is going away. I am tired of seeing that.
A part
Please
of it,
stop
though.
saying that.
Well, I mean, it's got to be at least a part of it.
Yeah,
it has to because I don't think Justin Jefferson.
The sole reason.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are as good as they are without Joe Burrow. That's the thing about it. These guys rely on catches and touches for their numbers. If you're not getting catches and touches, then you're not going to get there. That's the part that goes for anybody at any school, not just LSU. I think the problem is that either he wasn't an option in Jalen Daniels' mind in order to get first downs, or he saw something at practice that he didn't like. I mean, think about it is the only way that team scores is that quarterback getting rid of the football, either handing it off or throwing it to somebody. The only problem is they might not have clicked together, and that be a reason teams figure out and double team them. We saw that a lot early on in the season. Heck, Florida State did it in the first game of the season. They showed a lot of quarter one-on-one, and then the safety cheat that way. Well, of course, I wouldn't even throw it over there if that's the case. So that's what I'm thinking, is the deal. I mean, they know he's option one for LSU, and Jalen Daniels just figured it out that he can't be my option one because I'm going to turn the ball over.
But truly elite wide receiver ones in college separate and get open. I mean,
that's what you look at someone like Justin Jefferson, and you had two wide receivers with 20 touchdowns. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I think he was just lazy. He was a star in high school, and he was a star his freshman year because that's literally Max Johnson only threw to him. Like, that was his number one target every game. And like Wade said, I think he just didn't vibe with Brian Kelly and was going to come back and maybe try to up his draft stock. Maybe he was thinking, I'll get another NIL deal from the big G down there in Baton Rouge. Maybe he didn't get another pickup from him. And he said, you know what? I'm just going to go to the NFL because now he's got a family. He's got a kid he's got to provide for.
I think that's major. I think that was a big key factor. Well, he's got a family now. He's got a kid, and he wants to move on to bigger and better things, which I understand everybody does. And if he's okay with being a 3rd round draft pick somewhere, a 4th round draft pick, then be my guest. I mean, somebody's going to have to take a chance on him. I can see somebody like Seattle taking a chance on him because Seattle needs all the help they can get because all they got is DK Metcalf, and they had a guy, our 3rd string person that even the announcers have never heard of, score a touchdown today for Seattle. I mean, they need help and they need it bad. So there are teams out there that will take a chance on a guy like him.
The talent's there. He just needs to get in the right situation, and who knows really what led to it, but I'm kind of glad it's not dragging into next season. And we got a good recruiting class. I wish that veterans like Jack Besh sticking around, but it's LSU. They'll fill the holes and they'll be just fine.
And like with the Jack Besh situation, we have so many wide receivers, and he just got lost in the depth chart. And obviously, in my mind, he should have stayed at tight end. He was a tight end matchup like nightmare out there. He had linebackers covering him, and he's got wide receiver speed. Him switching to wide receiver was probably one of the worst decisions he made. But
was that his decision?
I think he was the one that wanted to switch to wide receiver.
Yeah, he came in as a wide receiver, and
they put him at tight end.
And I think he'll do just fine as a slot receiver at TCU. And I mean, there's plenty of offense to go around after yesterday.
Going there.
What's that, Tyler?
I could see a potential transfer happening. I wouldn't be surprised if Garrett Nussmeier makes his way over there and joins his teammate.
Yeah,
because Duggan is leaving, and then they're going to need somebody.
I mean, I think you'll have another quarterback battle between Daniels and Nussmeier.
But if he loses, I think that he probably dips.
You can call it a quarterback battle. It's probably going to be Daniels winning it. I know there's a lot of LSU fans calling for Nussmeier to be the quarterback based on what you saw in the SEC championship. But my thing is, we saw Daniels all season, and he played in November. He played lights out, and then he comes into the SEC championship and he's hurt. So yeah, he's not playing 100%. The offense just isn't clicking. You're playing the best team in the country. He gets hurt again. It's like, all right, put Nussmeier in, and it's the same thing I've been saying for fantasy football. The same reason why Jared Stidham went off today. The defense has no tape on these guys. You throw a new quarterback in that's got some talent, yeah, he's going to light you up because you don't know what to expect. So I think that the whole, Nussmeier should start the bowl game and be the quarterback going forward based on half a game's experience just isn't cutting it. But
I don't know if in college you can say that so much as you can in the NFL. I get it. They're both quarterbacks. My thing is, in the NFL, a lot of those guys on the field are making the play call. In college, you don't ever see that. I mean, there are quarterbacks on the field that are not making the play call unless they're a veteran and they've been in the system for 5 years and they trust that 20, 22-year-old kid to make a call like that. That's my thing. I think that LSU, I think their problems happened this year was the reverse of what their championship year was. They got too one-dimensional. You cannot get one-dimensional. What happened is, I honestly think there were play calls just for Jaden Daniels. They would just clear out all the receivers and just get a running room. And if they're going to do that, then all teams got to do is stack the box, play one-on-one defense. And if guys are going to run lazy routes, then they're going to stop them. That was the problem. I just don't think there was anybody that knew exactly what to do in order to mix it up. Ultimately, that falls on coaching, I think. I don't think they were ready for it. I don't know how many people Brian Kelly kept from within the LSU organization there, because it must have not been many, because it was completely different, completely changed. And I think.
Well, I'm hoping he doesn't keep the special teams coordinator after the season. I think everybody can agree on that one.
We're paying him a lot of money to do it. So
yeah. Well, we've been talking a lot about draft and NFL. We got to get to, I guess real quick, the last two games I'm missing. We got the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl. We know everybody's pick for the Rose Bowl, or at least we know Futch's pick for the Rose Bowl. And we are all full on Tulane for the Cotton Bowl. I think I'm going to stick with Tulane. They got more to play for over USC.
Yeah, Williams is playing in this bowl game too.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just don't know how 100% he is, because it's been a month. We haven't really got many updates, so we won't really see how mobile he'll be when he's on the field. But I'm still expecting a high scoring game.
Yeah, I'm changing my mind. USC. They're gonna with Caleb Williams playing. I'm going USC.
I think the problem is the pass rush for Tulane. I mean, Tulane had the most sacks all season in the American. I just feel like their pass rush is so aggressive that Caleb Williams is not running out of the pocket and getting away from anybody. I mean, that is very evident, because that didn't happen against Utah, and Tulane's going to get after them. That's the thing about it. If Tulane plays, if USC plays down, they're going to get destroyed. It's just one of those, because Tulane can score the football. They have no problems on the offensive end. But if they can stop Jordan Addison from even catching the football, then they got a good shot.
We shall see tomorrow. I'm surprised they don't have any. Well, I guess Monday Night Football is why they don't have a night game. We got
a good Monday slate, both in college and in the NFL.
Yeah,
really, they want to protect that Bengals game.
Yeah,
that's going to be a
battle for the 1 seed.
It's also a big impact on a lot of fantasy football playoffs, which we're about to get to. But before we get to it, we got to get to our dog of the week. So here's the intro, and I'll tell you who it's brought to you by. So who got that dog in them? Last week of the college football season that we're going to be doing it. We'll continue it in the NFL, and then after football season, I don't know. We'll find somebody that got that dog in them. But who got that dog to him is brought to you by Piper Golf. could pipe your drives and have that dog in you. If you go on over to piper.golf/sportscramble10, get 10% off their golf balls. I've still got a pack for the three of y'all whenever we link together to play some more golf.
So March, I'm guessing then.
Yeah, probably so. That's when you'll get your golf balls because I moved further away. So, but you head on over to piper.golf and use our promo code SportsScramble10 or use that link. You get 10% off your golf balls. So, who got that dog in them? Tyler, I'll let you kick us off.
Well, of course, my pick is going to come from one of the two playoff games, and that's going to be the mailman himself, Stetson Bennett. I mean, he struggled early, not going to lie, but in the second half, he really poured it on in an epic comeback win for the Dogs. 398 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and Georgia's going back to the national championship and trying to go back-to-back.
Okay. Futch, you don't agree with Stetson Bennett being the dog of the week on Tyler's side, so who do you got?
No, I agree. I think Stetson Bennett had a fantastic game. No, I was laughing at the mailman thing.
That's his name, the mailman.
I understand that. that was good. For me, I think I gotta look back at the other semifinal game and think about it. I'm not gonna pick Max Duggan. I just feel that's kind of the cop out pick. I don't want to pick that. I'm gonna take the receiver from TCU,
Quentin Johnson.
Unbelievable
the most underrated
game for
receiver.
him. Most underrated receiver in all of college football there. I mean, he only had 6 catches, but for 163 yards, he was averaging 27.2 yards. 27.2 yards.
Jeez.
A reception and then 1 receiving touchdown. I think he's the difference maker for them in the national championship. I just think that if that's their dominant wide receiver and they go to him and Duggins can get the ball out quick to him, they're virtually unbeatable.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a blowout like a lot of people are expecting.
Line is 13. I would bet TCU plus 13 right now.
I got no problem doing that. I got no problem putting the house on TCU.
Yeah.
I think TCU money line's like plus 430 right now.
Especially since we've seen that secondary get gashed the last 2 times they've been out on the football field. I mean,
the number 1 defense in college football, Michigan, giving up 51 points to TCU.
I think we put a little Sports Scramble special on it and take TCU plus 13.5. Win us some money. Maybe win us some podcasting money.
I like it.
Wait,
get enough money, we'll get a studio.
Yeah,
there we go. Let's all of us take our life savings and put the
one per state gets it.
We'll buy some land and I don't know.
Or I guess it out.
You still have to travel no matter what.
Yeah. Wade, who do you got for dog of the week?
All right, I'll go with Quentin Johnson's NFL comparison since Futch highlighted Johnson, and that is Mike Evans. I think there's a lot of similarity there between the two. Big time receiver, tall, lengthy, can go up and get it, but can also burn you with the legs. I'm a little biased here. I love Mike Evans for fantasy purposes, and I have him in a championship matchup. So it was beautiful.
Can't agree with that, Wade.
Yeah. I hate that it happened this week because it kind of
the Saints
solidified. Yeah, they really don't. So
try
again next year.
But yeah, Mike Evans, 217 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. It was definitely a throwback game for him. I'll take it. I'm sweating out a fantasy football championship here, so that went a long way.
So mine is still on Tampa Bay. I've got Tampa Bay's punter based on his single play he made today to save the game, Mr. Jake Carmada. The Tampa Bay's up.
He's also a former Georgia Bulldog.
I thought I recognized his name.
Yep.
Tampa Bay's up 6. They got to put the ball away to Carolina. Carolina's got one last shot. Ball's on like the 45-yard line or something like that. I don't remember exactly where it is. Bad snap, fumbles the snap from the long snapper. He picks it up. He's got the defense chasing him down. Keep in mind, this man ran a 4.5 at the combine for his 40. Okay, as a punter,
that's quick.
He was drafted in the 4th round. He's probably going to be. He's the third string running back if I'm guessing. He evades the defense. He's running to the left. I thought he was just going to tuck it and run it and just be done with it. He's got a Carolina defender closing in on him. He's a left-footed punter, if I remember correctly, or a right-footed punter, and he punts it with his left foot all the way down the field as someone's diving to block it, and they down it at the 3-yard line. I was like, oh my gosh, that's play of the game. And then, of course, it gets taken back because they had an illegal man downfield since he was running around like a madman.
I wonder why.
It
took so long to develop. Like, where's the ball?
Yeah, and so then the next play is a normal punt that they down at like the 9-yard line. But
you ruined your dog of the week.
Hopefully, at least you get some votes in the poll.
Well, if he gets tackled, the legal man downfield doesn't matter. The Carolina gets the ball at they're at Tampa Bay's 40-yard line. So the fact that he was able to evade it, even though it was a penalty, the penalty kind of just helped him out even more because then they got pushed back another 5 yards. But shout out Jake Carmada for being the elusive Tampa Bay punter and getting that ball.
So what I'm hearing is for fantasy football positions next year, we should have punter as an option, so I can take a punter in the first round.
Definitely. So speaking of fantasy football,
Jake Camardo with his first pick.
Yes.
We need to talk about our fantasy football league.
We can
Futch
skip that.
let us down.
We can skip.
Come on,
you didn't have to skip whenever I lost, so you now have to be the spot.
Mr. Futch was trying to become the first person in our fantasy football league history to win the championship with a losing record. If you won, your record would have been 7-8. But there's a reason you have a losing record because you started Gardner Minshew over Daniel Jones, who just absolutely went crazy. If you started Daniel Jones, you probably had a good chance of winning, even though Cameron still has Joe Burrow left to play. But all hope is not dead. If Evan McPherson scores more points than Joe Burrow does, you may win the championship.
You laugh. It worked for me last week.
Hear me out.
Yeah, but McPherson hasn't been as quality as he has been.
Here's the thing. Joe Burrow just has to not play tomorrow.
Hear me out, Joe Burrow.
Don't say those words, Chet. I will come to Texas and grab you by the throat.
Hear me out, Joe Burrow. I need you to throw 5 picks tomorrow.
No, you too. I'm
against Buffalo.
I'm driving to Mississippi, then I'm driving to Texas, and I'm burying both of you.
No Seawolves game for you.
So what I'm hearing is Wade to the championship and Joe Burrow's his
I'm guessing you have Joe Burrow as your starting quarterback.
I have Burrow, and I picked up Brandon Allen off waivers today because
we have more discrepancy in the comments.
Goodness. So, what happens if Joe Burrow has the flu?
Then I start Brandon Allen for fantasy football championship for $900.
What's the score right now in the championship?
I'm much? Up. I am projected to win by 40 points, but it's all because of Burrow and Chase tomorrow.
So you're winning right now, and
you have Burrow and Chase, or he has Chase and you have Burrow.
I have Burrow and Chase, and I'm down by 10 points right now.
And I have Pat
Freiermuth and George.
What are you even scared about?
Because last week Justin Herbert just needed 6 points to win.
Yeah, but it's Buffalo.
Me.
They haven't been.
They scored 4 points.
Their defense hasn't been as great as.
So it's destined to turn on me.
Does your opponent have anybody?
No, he's set and done. Like it's 97% predicted that I'll win. But last week I got lucky, so I'm worried it's not going to go my way.
As long as there's no injuries and stuff, you're fine.
As long as over here talking about Joe Burrow.
What happens
and Paul and throwing interceptions?
What if the game gets canceled for some reason?
What
happens at that point?
Maybe in 2020, but I don't think anything's going to affect this game.
But so I have I'm probably the only person in the world that has Brandon Allen on their fantasy football roster.
Hey, it was a good pickup. I mean, you might as well stash.
I don't know if I even want to do that because I would just rely on Jamar Chase getting me the points at that rate. I don't want to see Brandon Allen out there.
Well, I thought it would be like a situation where it was like I was down by like 30 or something. Yeah. And I need, and all
I know you're overthinking it, but I think you're fine.
Yeah, probably.
I want to discuss also in that league that Jacob choked away the championship.
He didn't choke away. It's just
he started Gardner Minshew.
Listen.
Yeah, because Justin Herbert didn't pan out this year.
Yeah, Herbert was a bust.
Daniel Jones had 40. I know you can't predict it.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones also had 9 points last week. He sucked last week. Do you really think I was going to start a guy who had 9 points the previous week?
Hey, at least you got there. Me and Chet were playing for the toilet.
That's what I was getting to.
I do get Jacob's logic because we were both looking at the matchups. Herbert last week went against the Colts and he only had like 6 points. So we were like, okay, the Colts are playing, better defense. And then, Daniel Jones goes out there and has 4 touchdowns. And then Minshew's playing the Saints. So I thought Philadelphia wants the 1 seed, and then nope. That's what's the beauty in the NFL. Any team can beat you.
Another thing, you started Garrett Wilson over DJ Moore?
Yes, I did because of the matchup. Because of the matchup. Think about it. Carolina is playing Tampa Bay.
I think he made all the right calls. It's just that Christian McCaffrey and Devontae went off at the right time.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the studs. And Cameron really was a good team wire to wire. I mean, other than
he's team. 9-5.
He was the most point scorer. So this is going to be back-to-back seasons where we've seen the champion win and then also win the most.
That's how it should be. Most points scored should win. Okay?
But we have that clause in there as a backup, in case.
And we didn't see the 20-point safety.
Yeah, we didn't see the 20-point safety in there either.
We had all that discussion and didn't even. Honestly, I think that the defensive players are honestly stupid and bogus, and we just get rid of them.
We will have town hall on fantasy football and vote over rules. I like the idea of upping the individual fantasy player.
I think we have to. I mean, it was just not even there. We have them they're scoring 3 points a game. Woohoo!
Yeah. But my coworker does a defensive back, a defensive lineman, and a linebacker, and they got rid of the team defense and they bumped up the point categories and whatnot, and it actually seemed pretty cool. But
I still like the team defense though.
We'll just have to look into it, but congratulations, Jacob, for getting there. And
you did better than Wade.
Hey, you made it as far as we did, so we congratulate you on that.
And look, I was really surprised. I was going for broke here. I think after week 6, Tyler and I had a conversation about. I was like, I don't know if I ever want to play fantasy football again. I lost
after that, point one loss.
I beat him by 0.04.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean. And it didn't end up mattering in the end.
Devontae Smith lateral.
I think. Yeah, I just think.
I remember that.
That was some crap.
Yeah, it's just weird. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But I don't know. It was a good season. I just think. Yeah, I just think we ditched the defensive player. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
We'll add sacks.
I mean, I had Micah Parsons, who was supposed to be I was a dominant linebacker in the NFL, and really, I think the most points I had from him all the season was 7 points, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of lame. I'm getting 7 points for him getting 8 tackles and 2 sacks. I'm like, what is going on?
See, that was a problem for me. I had Aaron Donald, who is the best defensive tackle, but he was only scoring 3 points, so I decided to go get Jordan Brooks, the linebacker of the Seahawks, and he was consistent, but the most points he scored was 9.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who Jordan Brooks is, so there's a problem.
Exactly. I was learning the names of defensive players because I was trying to find.
I didn't know he was, so he's on my fantasy team.
The Texans middle linebacker, or the Texans safety probably leads the league in tackles.
I was
I think it was Lucan again.
Just picking players that had easy matchups. I was picking the middle linebackers on those teams. It was like, well, they're going to get a lot of tackles. So speaking of defensive players, Cam Jordan becomes the Saints sack leader. And he says, shout out Matt Ryan for making up 20% of his entire career total.
I love that. Taking shots at Matt Ryan when you can.
That's good.
So, but like we were saying earlier, Wade and I were playing since we finished the last two spots in the league. Those last 3 weeks we've been playing for the number 1 pick. Wade has swept me. So, Wade, congratulations.
I'm the best of the worst
next year. Yeah,
bowl champs, baby.
So I'm probably getting Jamar Chase next year.
I did enjoy that addition. I think we definitely keep the toilet series. It's a fun way to end the season because we have 8 teams. 6 of them make the playoffs because it's a very competitive league, and there's really not a big difference between number 4 and number 6.
We saw it in the playoffs with Jacob knocking out the number 1 seed.
Yeah, so
it was
warranted. Yeah. But the toilet series is fun, so we got to keep it.
It is.
We'll have to get you a little toilet trophy.
I have a Mardi Gras toilet that they throw. Maybe I can
That could be the trophy.
Yeah, you could just put a plaque on it already. It says
I need to make sure I
the
didn't throw it
golden
away.
toilet seat.
Yes,
the
the
golden
golden
toilet seat.
painted gold.
You
Okay,
have
I'll
to
paint it
wear it.
gold.
You have to wear it over your neck for the next season's.
I'll put it on a
draft.
Mardi Gras bead.
That works.
Speaking of Mardi Gras, we had the Saints decide to show up and play the past couple of games. They're on a 3-game win streak. Marshawn Lattimore comes back, difference maker in this game, pick 6 to win it. But in typical Saints fashion, we're missing the playoff because we sucked for the majority of the year. And all of a sudden, everybody thought the Packers were dead in the water, and they just destroyed the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings have had 2 terrible losses this year, Cowboys and Packers, and they've been by a lot of points.
Yep.
So,
Can I just say that the Green Bay Packers are going to find a way to choke it next week for the last game of the season, even though they're playing at home. It's like the Cowboys scenario where they just
not
can't win a
losing
playoff
at
game.
Lambeau.
They might. Who knows?
Dude, they're either going to lose and choke or they're going to win the Super Bowl. Like, there's no in between.
There's no in between. If Aaron Rodgers wins the MVP
The way that
for the
defense
third
is
season
playing,
in
I
a row
wouldn't put it
for
past
having
them
this,
quite yet.
who's the clear-cut MVP?
in the NFL,
Probably going to be Mahomes, I think, just overall.
Yeah.
Like
maybe Joe.
I would have said
think
Hurts, but now that he's out for 2 weeks, I think that
Hurts
affects.
is hurt.
If Burrow
Hurts is
I
dominates
think
tomorrow,
if the Bengals make a deep playoff,
Got to be
run
either
and
Burrow
go
or
back
Mahomes
to
at this rate.
Yeah, I think if it's going to come down to whoever beats the other one in the playoffs, Burrow or Mahomes. Burrow does it, I think he wins the MVP.
well, they
The Chiefs
technically
can't beat the
vote
Bengals.
in the regular
just can't.
season.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
it's a regular season. It's kind of like the Heisman where they already vote like before the playoffs.
But you do have the
Wow.
head-to-head game already. Burrow out-dueled them. They both looked good. I think whoever gets the number 1 seed in the AFC, there's a good chance their quarterback wins it. I mean, think about the amount of work it took for either Allen, Mahomes, or Burrow to get their team to the number 1 seed. So
I don't think Allen wins it this year. He's been kind of lackluster for the most part. I mean, he's made good plays, but he's not like what everybody expected.
Can we do a little research real quick? I'm going to do a little research while you're talking.
All right, do a little research stuff.
type and talk.
I want to talk about how the Eagles have the best record in the NFL, and they still haven't locked up the number 1 seed with the loss today. They have to beat the Giants next week.
They haven't even locked up the division either.
I know. Whoever wins next week takes home.
Do the Cowboys only have 4 losses?
Yeah, they only have 4 losses. They won on Thursday night against the Titans, and then let's see, I don't even know who the Eagles play next week.
They play the Giants. So
they play the Giants. And then Dallas plays Washington, who is already out of the playoffs. So I mean, if Jalen Hurts doesn't come back, then they could definitely be in danger of losing that 1 seed.
And they lost to Minnesota earlier in the year, so Minnesota has the head.
Minnesota ain't going to get the 1 seed.
Well, they have the head-to-head over Philly.
Yeah, there's a very good chance they get it.
I think they all have 3 losses now. Or do they have 4? They might have 4.
I think Minnesota has 4 now, yeah. Well, if Jalen Hurts isn't 100%, if you're the Eagles coach, are you putting him out there? Or are you going with Gardner Minshew?
I think you got to get that 1 seed. I mean,
that's a big difference.
Nah, you don't need the 1 seed.
I would at least try to get
one
him
less
in there.
game you don't have to play though, and you get home field advantage.
Especially when the 2 and the 7, it's going to be another NFC's team most likely.
Look, all I'm saying is I would want to be the 5 at this rate, the way the Bucks have been playing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't want to line up against Brady in the playoffs still.
So I did some research. We were talking MVP real quick. I just looked up the last defensive player to win the NFL MVP. And the last defensive player to win it was Lawrence Taylor in 1986. So it's been a very long time. I want to see a defensive player win it. I feel like there's a lot of good ones. I don't think anybody this year would be like, what kind of numbers would you have to put up as a defensive player in order to win an MVP?
If JJ Watt didn't get it done in 2013 or 14, I don't see it happening. He had 20 sacks and he scored 3 offensive touchdowns as a tight end.
How does he not win it?
The culture just changed that it's just going to become a quarterback or like the Heisman Trophy.
I hate
that's
that.
really, yeah. The Vikings play the Bears next week, so that's probably
they should
the
win that if they show up and Kirk Cousins doesn't throw 3 interceptions again and fumbles the ball.
Yeah, honestly, we're looking if the Eagles lose, we're looking at the Vikings
What about the
potentially.
four? Well, the 49ers also have 4 losses too.
Oh, the Cowboys will get the number 1 seed because the Cowboys will hold the head-to-head over the Vikings.
Over the Eagles.
So
it pretty much come down between the Niners and the Cowboys in that scenario.
Could you imagine the Niners getting the 1 seed with Brock Purdy leading the way?
Heck yeah, baby.
It's setting up for one of those wacky things. It's like TCU with college football.
I feel like the NFC is going to be more parity than the AFC.
Oh, absolutely. I think I think it really amounts to 2 teams in the AFC. I just don't think that anybody has enough momentum in order to catch up.
Well, who do the 49ers play next week? I'm trying to.
It's got to be like at a division. I would probably have to
Raiders?
guess the Cardinals or somebody like that.
I'm looking.
Rams.
I don't know.
Come on, internet.
If it's LA, then I think they'll.
No, the Rams play Seattle.
Okay, so
Can't
who
be
else is
them.
left?
The Cardinals.
They play the Cardinals.
Oh, that's a win. They're gonna be starting David Blau probably, and
speaking of David Blau, the NFL's had 64 different starting QBs.
Might as well find a new hobby at this rate because his NFL QB days are over.
It ain't throwing it on a dime. I can promise you that. Well, yeah. AFC is pretty much locked up. The NFC, very different playoff picture. We'll see.
AFC, I mean, you still have like the top seed still, but you still have the wild cards up for grabs.
Yeah. Are y'all still going Eagles Super Bowl champs?
I don't know.
Bengals,
I just don't like the way that they've been playing. Like I know that Jalen Hurts is there, but I think there's some issues, like especially in the defensive side. I mean,
yeah.
The Saints gashed them in the running game, Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara today.
I think I'm going Bengals. Just Joey B.
I don't know. I'm going to wait until after week 18 and wait for the playoff preview to even think about that. So right. I don't want to make any stupid mistakes like I did in the preseason when I said the Chargers.
I think it will come from the AFC, though, but I do think that San Francisco will make it very interesting.
Yeah, I would not. The way that Dallas and San Francisco has been playing, if they give any of those teams home field advantage, they're tough out, especially San Fran with that defense.
I don't know if Purdy can go toe-to-toe with any of the AFC quarterbacks if it got to the Super Bowl, but if they could control the clock with McCaffrey, that team is a very dangerous team.
They're tough out.
Definitely. I've got some other stuff on my notes college football wise, but it's more like questions I think I'll save till after the season so we have something to talk about in the off season.
Let's talk more about the playoff and the upcoming matchup. A little week out preview
for Georgia TCU. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the playoffs on Monday, right?
Yeah, January 9th will be the national championship.
We'll probably have a show.
Usually we put out the show like on Tuesday. So actually
we'll have the live stream for Sunday. But I guess we'll go real quick around the room. Picks Georgia TCU. Wade, who you got?
I think I'm actually gonna flip and might go TCU.
Okay.
I was really impressed with what I saw yesterday. I think that you can't tell me that Stetson's any better than Max
for last,
Duggan.
please.
So we got the 26-year-old going against the 24-year-old.
I think they're very similar quarterbacks. I think Duggan's a little bit more athletic, but Stetson's got the better ball. But I think with the way TCU runs their offense, you don't have to be a perfect quarterback. You just got to get the ball to your playmakers.
Mm-hmm.
And Duggan, I think, is a better scrambler than CJ Stroud by far. CJ Stroud came into the game with like 100 yards rushing, and they were drawing up designed runs for him yesterday. I mean, that nobody saw that coming. Nobody wants to run at Georgia's defensive front, but I like the creativity behind TCU's offense, and I don't know. I think that Georgia, rarely do we see teams get lucky twice in a season, yet alone a playoff. And I just think Ohio State outplayed them yesterday, and I think they kind of got lucky at the end. And, had Ohio State been able to pick up 5 or 7 more yards, I think that field goal is a lot less daunting, and the guy doesn't overthink it as much, and we might be talking about a 3 versus 4. And it's not in Atlanta anymore. It's out west.
Yeah, it's out in
LA.
LA. So I think that stadium's gonna be painted purple. Because I know
Georgia's going to still have more.
Georgia fans are going to travel no matter where it is.
But you gotta think.
Look at the enrollment.
We're talking Fort Worth. These people have money.
But look at
TCU, big time.
the total.
They have 14,000.
Like, is TCU gonna
excuse me,
just, like, stay out
12,000
there?
students at TCU. 12.
Yeah, I'm not talking students. I'm talking like.
But the network,
in
the
general.
alumni network, just isn't there.
I mean, yeah, I do agree. Like, this is their first national championship since like the 1930s. There's going to be a lot of purple there.
I think there is going to be a lot of purple.
I don't think their allotment, but Georgia's going to be.
I don't think it's going to be like super dominant.
It's not going to be as like dominant home field advantage as it was in Atlanta. It's probably going to be close to a 50-50 split.
Nobody has home field. It's in LA. Nobody has.
No, I'm saying no. That's not
fan
what I'm
wise.
saying.
He's saying
that
no.
It's not going to be a home advantage as it was in Atlanta compared to what it's going to be.
I can't tell you how many times I saw really the stadiums weren't divided at all from what I saw in the semifinal games. I mean, I saw a lot of pictures of just random fans all over the place. I think that's what it's going to be. I mean, you're going to have little sections that are going to have, their dedicated spots there, but. For the most part, it'll all be intermingled. I don't think it's going to be one giant span over another. It'll be a good crowd. It's a good stadium to hold it in. I just think that
regionally college football's not as big out there.
Yeah. I'm thinking I want to go with TCU because that's the fun picking TCU. But if history has told us anything, when everybody thinks it's going to be a close game, the SEC team usually ends up like blowing the other team out of the water. In years past, a lot of time with Alabama. So I'm thinking Georgia's just probably going to show up and just dominate, and everybody's going to. I mean, they haven't played in a month. Everybody's going to forget about what just happened, and they're going to win by like 21. So. It's not the sexy pick, but I think Georgia.
Hey, if you told a Georgia fan or a player in August, all you have to do is beat TCU to win a national championship, they would have signed up for 13 of those matchups.
Yeah, definitely.
They'd probably be laughing at your face like, haha, that's so easy.
Yeah, Fletch, choose your pick.
Something about college football, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with TCU only because if Sonny Dykes wants to see the light of day again after his comments about the SEC, they got to win this football game.
That's true.
I hope the Citadel beats TCU in the near future. And why is everyone pick on the Citadel? They're a good school.
I love it, though, because I got to sit up for this one. I think it's fantastic because TCU is the Cinderella story, and especially in college football, you just don't see it. I don't think you see it in football in any stretch of the imagination, where a team like TCU would make it this far. It just seems that, a lot of talks, they're a team of destiny, and I wouldn't call it a team of destiny. I just think that it's a bunch of blue collar kids that just want to go out there and hit somebody and play football. I just think they just think about the here and now. They're level-headed, probably the most level-headed team I've seen. Because there's a lot of schools out there given the opportunity of where they're at that would just go crazy for being able to just play in those games. TCU looked ready, prepared against Michigan, and they just looked absolutely. They just knew what to do in certain situations. No panic at all. Michigan starts coming back. There's just no panic, and they're just so even keel. And it starts with Duggins. I just think that he's like even towards the end of the game. I mean, he was so focused on the here and now. I just think that that's how they're going to be. And Georgia's a strong team, and they'll always be. I mean, for years to come now. I mean, that's how it's going to be until somebody else steps up. I mean, Georgia's just another extension of what Alabama was. Of course, Tyler.
Or are they becoming the next Bama?
I think they are. I think they are the next Bama.
Especially if they win this one.
That's the problem. Tyler and I talked about.
People are going to be saying we won Georgia and saying we won Bama.
It doesn't have the same ring to it.
Like Tyler and I talked about coast to coast because I just think that Saban's time is coming to an end. Kirby Smart is a lot younger than him. Georgia has a lot more opportunities to get to where they are now. I feel like TCU, they're just ready for a game. They're not afraid of anybody. I mean, that's the thing about it. You got teams that go out there and play nervous or scared or conservative, and TCU does none of that. I mean, they come out firing.
They got nothing to lose. I mean, they're the scrappy team that no one's picked.
Yeah.
Tyler, are you still rocking with the Georgia Bulldogs?
I think that everybody's is going to be doubting this TCU team going into this game. I mean, Vegas is, like I hinted, they're a 13-point favorite. So I think that Sonny Dykes and company are going to use that as fuel to the fire. TCU, for the first time this season, got off to a fast start. Well, I think they're going to have to do it again against Georgia. And Georgia, they got off to a slow start against Ohio State as well. Ohio State punched them in the mouth, and Georgia was able to punch right back. So I think this is going to be a 4-quarter battle. I think this is going to be more of an offensive game. I mean, we saw all of these teams score over 40 points in the semifinal game. So I think that both of these offenses will take over. I'm excited to see this quarterback matchup between the two veterans of Max Duggan and Stetson Bennett, but there is going to be a split in the scramble. I'm going with the Dogs. I think they go back-to-back in this one. Got to go with the SEC boys in this one. I think those comments that Sonny Dykes have gone on, Kirby Smart's definitely going to show that in the locker room. They're going to use that as fire as well.
Bulletin board material.
The thing about it is, though, it's hard for Georgia to get motivated against a team like
they're going to get motivated because they know that
it's the national championship.
Okay, let me say this.
Yeah, but congratulations.
They're going to be motivated.
You've played Tennessee. You've played all these really good teams this year, and it's like, hey, by the way, to win the national championship, like you said, to win the national championship, you have to beat TCU. They're thinking TCU. I get it, but
I don't think they're thinking that.
If you're Georgia, you got to stay focused.
Georgia,
TCU
I think Georgia
as a top team.
I think Georgia knows that like they played probably one of the worst game of the season this year, and they still got bailed out in that game. They're going to get a second chance, so I think they're going to use that to fuel to the fire. And Georgia's going to come out here really giving it a knockout punch to TCU. So TCU is the Cinderella story. We really haven't seen a Cinderella story like this before in college football for quite some time. But in the end, Georgia is just too much.
I think that the thing about this game is I think I'm more nervous for Georgia's offense than anything because Georgia has to be able to score the football. And if Georgia doesn't score the football, they won't win because it's clear that their defense is not going to stop anybody. Because, how do you give up 41 to Ohio State? They could barely.
It's not like Ohio State was 24. A bad offense. You can't forget.
I'm not saying that, but Ohio State actually, they didn't play a lot of starters because a lot of guys were out. I mean, they really had the injury bug all season long. I just think that Georgia, I just don't feel that they're going to be able to score a ton of points on TCU. It just doesn't, because if you're going to match TCU shot for shot, like I mentioned this before the semifinal games, if you're going to match them shot for shot in scoring the football, they're going to beat you every single time.
How many points does it take to win?
It might take 50 points to win this football game.
I think
it might take 50 points to win it.
I was going to say 48. So
I think it's going to be like a 45-38 type game.
Dude, TCU is going to get out and throw the football immediately. There's no
I think Georgia has the weapons to really beat TCU in the secondary more than they do in the running game. Like Kenny McIntosh had a good game as well. And this is going to be a high-scoring battle, but I just feel like Georgia's going to take this game. I think that they got woken up by the way that they played against Ohio State. They weren't satisfied with that.
But did Stetson Bennett really face any pressure from the D-line of Ohio State for a large majority of the game? But I'm just versus the game looking at Michigan and TCU. You can't compare the offensive lines, but
Duggan really didn't get pressured either.
Well, he did when he rolled out of the pocket. He got lit up a ton.
Yeah, that's not going to fly as much.
Yeah, it's not going to fly against Georgia. I know that they've been, inconsistent these past two games, but they still have the athletes on that.
I just was impressed by what Stroud was able to do. I thought that Ohio State, if they were going to contend with Georgia, it would be because Stroud was sitting back there and airing it out to Marvin Harrison, and that's what it was early on. But when he went out with the concussion, I mean, they started designing up scramble plays for Stroud, run up the middle for Stroud. I mean, I think if TCU can figure that out from the get-go as a weakness of Georgia's, he's got a lot more talent in that regard, and that could really keep Georgia on their toes because then,
he's got more big play potential than Stroud did on the run.
Yeah, so then you can equally as much roll out and dump one off to Johnson. I mean, I just think there's ways to get around that defensive front. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. I could be dead wrong, though. I was very big on Alabama winning the national championship last year, and, I was wrong. So,
well, we got the matchup Monday, January 9th, 6:30.
We'll have more in-depth coverage for you next Sunday, but I did want to get it out there.
Or
today.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching live on our YouTube channel, you'll get the in-depth coverage beforehand. But Monday night, January 9th, 6:30 p.m. in SoFi Stadium is where the TCU Horned Frogs and the Georgia Bulldogs battle it out. As we end all of our shows, I have the TMZ Sports segment of the week brought to you by Fanatics.
Here we go.
Tyler, get the code ready. We need the code for Fanatics.
We can get the holidays.
Code is George Pickens catch the football.
No, it's not.
We've got, was a lot of talk about TCU and Georgia. If you want to roll the dice, go ahead and get your championship gear early. Go on over to Fanatics. Tyler, use what code?
They are having a clearance sale up to 70% off, and today's code is 24SHIP.
There you go.
You get those Fiesta Bowl champ shirts. Get those Peach Bowl champ shirts. I have one from LSU. Oh, that's another point. We've reached the rotation since LSU won the championship. We're back to the bowl setup that it was in 2019. So kind of bittersweet.
I was surprised to see the VRBO Fiesta Bowl. I guess Tostitos lost their sponsorship there, and they would.
Hey, I think we're paying too much for that house on the bachelor trip, is what I'm hearing. If they can sponsor bowl games.
I know. Come on. Cut your boys a break.
And my Cheez-Its, man, they've gone from like $3.25 to $4.25, and I see why now. They got two bowl games.
Yeah. But you can do like Futch did. You can see the jerseys behind him. He copped them off Fanatics. He's got a retro Penn State from the last time they won a national championship. It's been a while.
1986.
Yeah, but you use code 24SHIP. I think it gets you free shipping on orders over $24. And you get, of course, the end of the year clearance sale, 70% off. So, TMZ Sports segment, I had to search because there wasn't any like really good ones.
What about Max, or not Max Duggan, JJ McCarthy's dad touching his girlfriend on live TV?
I didn't see that one.
They're gonna have to explain that one in the family for a while.
All right. Mine is from a Waffle House in Texas. And I say it's a sports segment because they need to find out who this cook is and get her on a hands team in the NFL.
Or WWE.
Oh, I saw this video.
A fight breaks out in this Waffle House. I mean, I'm talking fists are thrown. There's chairs, tables, or not say plates are thrown, breaking windows. The guy videoing is going, I just want my waffles, man. Just give me my waffles. I just want my waffles. Well, I don't know what was said, but the worker had enough of it. And the customer gets up on the counter and like RKO from the top rope, jumps on her, and they start throwing dukes. And this other chick, which it's like a sucker punch. I mean, it has no place in this fight. She grabs a steel chair, chunks it across the restaurant, like two hands to this sucker. And the Waffle House worker, corner of the eye, just grabs it. One hand, snatches it out of the air, looks at her, and just throws it back. At that point, I'm leaving. Fight's over. No, you caught a 20-pound
That's when
chair.
You give that worker a raise on the spot.
Yeah, no, fight's over. I'm out. But yeah, sign her to an NFL hands team. I mean, that's, I guess, adrenaline. I don't know, but catching a steel chair thrown at you in the middle of a fight is pretty.
Lane Kiffin's looking for hands team players.
Yeah, really.
After their performance at the Texas Bowl, they need it.
Well, that's all I got this week, guys. To kick off 2023, wrap it up college football. We got one more game next week. We'll be in the thick of the NFL playoffs, and then after that, we'll figure out something to talk about. I don't know. Sports Scramble for a
Hey,
reason.
that's the golf season right there.
Right.
Golf
It may be
and
sports.
college baseball.
College basketball.
There's
We
always
may,
something.
we may have to get back to asking. We got to start getting back playing golf. I got to get back to ask y'all how y'all are doing with your golf game.
Yeah, I need to definitely
I
do
haven't
that.
played golf in a year.
Oh, Tyler, that's unacceptable.
Listen, so I was talking the other night I was talking to my dad. We were talking about how when I was like really young, they used to be in like a bowling league and stuff. And I said, you know what? I said, after graduating and everything, I said, I just got to get back into the bowling league on Thursday nights, man.
We'll see
there's
Jacob at
nothing-
Big Play.
Some bowling. That's what
All
I'm
right.
talking about.
I'll
He's
come
giving
join
up
up
on-
Jacob live at Big Play Entertainment every Tuesday and Thursday.
No. That's not even a real bowling alley.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Y'all-
We can
Just
have a
start-
bowling circuit.
Folks,
We'll go
if
down
you're
the
listening-
the
if
golf
you're listening to
court
the show-
in Baton Rouge, Thibodeau.
If you guys are listening to this show and you have gone to a bowling alley and they have pins on a string, that is not a bowling alley.
No.
That is an amusement park. You cannot. That
I
is
know.
not a thing.
You
That's
need
why
some
I brought it up. I
cigarette
wanted to hear your
stained
spiel on it.
carpets and grease on the balls from the pizzas.
Yes. God,
You got to
a bunch
get the
of kids
bowling
running
shirts.
around. Yeah.
Fudge,
Dude,
if you get back into the bowling league, we're gonna have to get some coverage of this.
Dude,
We're gonna
I
have to
don't-
send a
I
sports.
think we do a
Scramble-
traveling bowling circuit from all of our cities and
Yes.
crown a champion.
I'm liking it, and then we'll get a little mini golf action in there. Just switch it up. Well,
I'm
I
down
think
for
that-
that.
I think that pretty much wraps up the show. Stay tuned for the bowling and mini golf league we're going to start up. But you can catch us every Sunday night, Sports Scramble. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please drop us a review. It helps out tremendously getting us out into the search engines and all that stuff. Spotify, you can leave a review, a little rating. Do that. Share it with your friends. Share it to your grandma. We keep it PG so everybody can listen.
Sometime.
Yeah,
I said crap instead of you know what. So yeah,
we were talking about the illegal aliens in El Paso at the beginning
Yeah.
of the show, though.
yeah.
so-
But to clarify, we weren't supporting the announcer. So don't
yes,
block
that
us.
was a direct quote from the announcer, so don't come after us.
Yeah, don't
We
quote
think
us.
he's a moron.
Cite your sources, Chad.
Yes, I don't even remember his name or who was playing, to be honest with you. NC State's announcer, I think, is who it was. College football coast to coast. I thought they were stopping after college football season. They're not. They're going to roll on in the offseason. We're talking recruiting, transfer portal, new hires, the whole shebang. Monday afternoons. And, of course, I imagine the SEC talk is coming to an end once the bowl season wraps up there. Tyler.
Yeah, this week will be the last show of the football season.
Yep, and y'all do special shows for basketball
Yeah,
and baseball.
Every
so-
now and then we'll be in the
We
off
pop
season.
in.
Yep.
Yeah, pop in and see what's happening. So, anything else, guys, before we send off our first show of 2023?
All I gotta say is I think about like 5 cars like passed by this hour and a half on your window.
I know. I live in the
New
corner of the
scenery
street
for us.
now. Yeah. So I'll get that closed next time so it doesn't distract you.
I was just like noticing, like, wow.
Oh, New Year's resolutions. If your resolution is to work out more, give us a heads up and quit by the end of the week so we can go back to normal gym times. I'm gonna take the week off from the gym this week, so I go
Gym
back
is
to a
always
normal.
packed for a week and then it
Big
dies
Freddy's
down.
trying to get down to 180, so I'll be in that gym.
Gotta fit in that tux, huh?
Yeah.
So, well, we appreciate everybody listening. Please leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts. Hit us over on YouTube with a subscribe. Leave your comments. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter. Thumbs up from Fudge. I don't know what he's talking about. Everywhere you can find us, we're there. So feel free to pop in. And yeah, I think that pretty much is it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good week.